I've been asked to discuss the genetic fallacy by Curious Gazelle, but um, actually, I don't know what it is, so I have to read it now. She helpfully provided me with a link to it, a Wikipedia link, which I'll just read out. So I will hopefully understand what I read, and that you too will understand what I'm reading. It begins. The genetic fallacy, also known as the fallacy of origins or fallacy of virtue, is a fallacy of irrelevance in which arguments or information are dismissed or validated based only on their source of origin rather than their content. In other words, a claim is ignored or given credibility based on its source rather than the claim itself. It sounds like an ad hominem fallacy. A fallacy therefore fails to assess a claim on its merit. The first criterion of a good argument is that the premises must have bearing on the truth or falsity of the claim in question. Genetic accounts of an issue may be true, and they may help illuminate the reasons why the issue has assumed its present form, but they are not conclusive in determining its merit. In the Oxford Companion to Philosophy, it is asserted that the term originated in Morris Raphael Cohen and Ernest Nagel's book Logic and Scientific. Okay, I'm not going to bother reading all that. I will go straight to examples. So, somebody saying to another, "You're not going to wear a wedding ring, are you? Don't you know that the wedding ring originally symbolized ankle chains worn by women to prevent them from running away from their husbands? I would not have thought you would be party to such a sexist practice." There are numerous motives explaining why people choose to wear wedding rings, but it would be a fallacy to presume those who continue the tradition are promoting sexism. Another example would be from How to Win Every Argument, The Use and Abuse of Logic by Matz and Pyrie. The objections of the Council's new just timetable come only from private property developers and can be ignored. As the author points out, private developers may well have legitimate and knowledgeable opinions on such a matter. So I find it a little bit of a puzzle as to why Gazelle is bringing this up. I assumed she was talking about, she may be referring to my discussions with Hedgehog about what really. Hedgehog is accusing me of making him say secular Quranism, and well, I deny it. I don't want him to say secular Quranism. I don't want him to answer any question of mine with secular Quranism when I'm not looking for that answer. But he's accusing me of making everything. He's accusing me of making the world, his world, look secular, Quranic. And is it something I have consciously chosen to do? No. It's okay. I have my idea. I think it solves everything, and I've obviously been talking about it. But people can avoid discussing it. They can, not anticipate what I'm going to say, or fight me all the way and say, deny every premise I have. So, I've been so helpful in telling people, how to undermine secular Quranism. You can say, um, I've misdiagnosed a problem. What I say is a problem is not really the problem. Or even if it is a problem, my solution will not solve it. There are already two ways. And there will be many ways, depending on, you know, which claim you wish to undermine. So let me have a look at. Um, I, I'm just assuming that. So I think Gazelle is accusing me of straw manning Hedgehog. The thing is, he hasn't made any claim, right? He hasn't made any claim other than to say it's silly to say democracy isn't working because, well, he knows that my position is that democracy isn't working. So he can't prove that it's working because a lot of people are complaining, aren't they? I suppose if you're in a political party, you're not allowed to say that democracy isn't working, but that is a problem for the political activists of these political parties. They assume that democracy is the only way forward, and they will dismiss as heretics anyone who takes a different view to them, and they'll dismiss them as being far right and extremist and all kinds of things. And well, I'm not bothered. So I'm going to say what I think, and I'm waiting for Hedgehog to say I'm wrong because A B C D E to X Y Z. But so far he's all he's done is appeal to authority, saying, "Oh, my friends wouldn't agree with you. Nobody agrees with you." Okay, so there are a few fallacies also listed under this Wikipedia entry. Ad hominem, attacking the person rather than the argument. Appeal to accomplishment. I'm not sure what that is. Appeal to accomplishment is a genetic fallacy wherein person A challenges a thesis put forward by person B because person B has not accomplished similar feats or accomplished as many feats as person C or person A. Well, Hedgehog was saying that because I wasn't a town councillor or an MP or a prime minister, my claims on politics are not authoritative. But well, isn't it a form of malign encouragement on his part to make me waste my time, working my way up from town councillor to MP to prime minister, and then say, "Oh, it doesn't work." He knows I'm no spring chicken, so I think he is in a way trying to make me waste my time, and this is also what I accused him of, that he would make people waste their time by telling them to do useless things and not care that they're wasting their time. I don't want to do that. So his accusation of me um, not being of being able to authoritatively um, pronounce on pronounce the failure of democracy is not correct. It's an appeal to accomplishment. It's also ad hominem. because he's saying, oh, you must be crazy to promote secular Quranism. Nobody agrees with you. So, what authority do I have to say that democracy is kaput? I mean, it's actually working, right? He is. It's working as far as people can see. We know the disastrous one in 2020 when the election was stolen was, well, it's the beginning of the end for democracy. So I'm making a prediction. It's still chugging along as far as people can tell. Um, so I'm making a prediction and not a claim. Sorry, I'm being a little distracted by my notifications. Oh, I've forgotten my point. Oh, yes. So I'm saying that Hedgehog denies that democracy isn't working, and he expects to work within it and achieve great things, and my prophecies of doom are unfounded. That I think is what he's saying, and my answer to that is that, well, a lot of people aren't happy, and you don't really know anything because you basically didn't list the hot button issue of immigration, because I asked him what he thought the hot button issues were, and he gave me a whole bunch of stuff about what was it? Not enough prisons, building train tracks, not enough housing for all these immigrants who are coming every day, and basically not getting it about how alarmed ordinary people are. So I would say the hot button issues would be white identity, white status, gay marriage and transgenderism, which is upsetting a lot of parents who don't have to be white. Everybody's worried when they know that their government wants to stop them from having children and want to destroy the lives of their children, and nobody can say or do anything. So they're very alarmed. But Hedgehog is not a parent, so all these things go over his head, I suppose. If you're not a parent, you don't care about schools, you don't care about children being taught all kinds of shit because, well, you don't have any skin in the game. So political perspectives are obviously a question of status, class, whether you're a man or a woman, where you are in society. And obviously the wealthy people they're protected and they don't care. That is the thing. They don't care, and they like shitting and pissing on people below them and pretending they don't know what the hell they're on about. Particularly if they're not very educated, if they're low education, low information, low status. It's easy to piss on them when you've gone to a Russell Group university and laugh at them when they say the wrong word and call them Nazi, fascist, whatever, because you're Your university education and indoctrination has given you a few clues about how to dance around words that people who don't have your opportunities don't know how to. And I guess it's fun to piss and shit on people like that because, well, you don't like them anyway, and they don't like you, and you've got all these immigrants to do your work for you, and you don't need to have any dealings with the white working classes anymore. So you don't give a shit about them, and so it's easy to, dismiss and demonize them, and they're, most of them pretty stupid, But even so, people ought to ask themselves why their government doesn't care about them. So instead of saying, "Well, not doing you're not doing well because government policy has been lacking," or anyway, the thing is, these corrupt and incompetent politicians don't want to fix anything. They just want to hide their mistakes in education, social policy, economic policy. They basically want to blame the next lot whom they lost the election to. So there's no particular incentive to fix things. They basically don't care. And that is one of the long-term systemic problems of democracy. I explained to Hedgehog how it will ultimately affect his rights as a man, but I don't think he cares because he's not married, so it doesn't affect him. And a lot of these people who are talking to me, they're not married fathers, so really, they don't give a shit. They don't give a toss. They're just there to amuse themselves and, well, shitting on, pissing on people. I mean, they're basically trolls, or, they're just in their ivory tower, far, far away from ordinary people whose concerns they certainly do not share, and are probably proud that they don't share. It's like, oh, immigration, oh, immigrants, yeah, well, we got to have more of them because, well, who's going to do the work? And when you ask them, what about the people here, who are supposed to be working class, and I know the answer is that they're not capable of doing it. They haven't been given the education or the training or even the right attitude to do any work. So obviously you have to fix them, but I think the government isn't interested in fixing them. They rather just throw them away and warehouse them for extinction than try to fix anything. So that explains the great replacement theory. And when you see hot button issues being completely missed and saying no, the assumption is that to be apolitical is a good thing. It shows that you're superior to the people who squabble over politics. You're just saying, I'm all right, Jack. Screw you. Because, oh, what else are you saying? You disdain to discuss politics because people like you don't talk about politics because the government has treated you well. And the government has treated you well because you are of a certain class. And the way to preserve differences between you and the ones who are always whinging would be to affect not to understand what they might be on about. And if you do, then you'll call them racist or xenophobic, and all the usual words to demonize and dismiss them. So how is a religion, or a new moral system, if you prefer, going to change all this? I would say that every every moral system has the group of people that it's supposed to favor. So with communism, it would be the workers. With capitalism, it would be the owners of capital and land. With liberals, the good guys would be, the people who are liberals. Um, and if you go to the religious moral systems, you would, obviously Muslims would think they're the good guys, Christians would think they're the good guys, Jews would think they're the good guys, and you have to work out how to interpret the rules of these particular moral systems. So I'm just saying, the best one would be the one with worshipping the most powerful God with the clearest instructions, who are believed to come from the hypothetical supreme authority. And I'm saying, yes, it's the Quran. And I know Hawk is an atheist, and he wouldn't care that conservatism doesn't have any principles, because he would say, "Oh, but we don't need all these principles." But I would say, well, actually, communism has principles. Well, it has a philosophy, shall we say. And a lot of the philosophy is Marx, making predictions and saying clever things that impress people, while liberalism hasn't quite got the same official handbook as the communists do, because, well, there is no official handbook for liberalism, is there? But communism possesses one, so it will always have ideological cohesion compared to liberalism, which is basically a building that's been around for 250 years, with all these sort of extensions, and they don't quite go together, and they don't look that good, and often they contradict each other. But the point is that if you're looking for a cohesive, coherent moral system, you would need an official handbook. And that is crucial in letting people know what their rights are. And I get it that the people at the top don't care to give people at the bottom any rights, let alone a list of their rights. And if they even go through the exercise of pretending to give them rights, they would make sure that the courts would just not come to the right conclusion, and basically tell the little person not to bother appealing against obviously incorrect legal decisions. I mean, basically, they want all the the nice bits of liberalism, saying, oh, you have the right to free speech and freedom of belief and all that shit, but in practice you don't, and rig the judiciary so much that even if you did appeal, you wouldn't get the right result, or you wouldn't be allowed to appeal at all. So there are all these hidden traps in the system that we call liberalism, which is fraying at the edges and is obviously unraveling, but if you want to climb the greasy pole, you can't say these things. So what I think I do as a public service is to say these things on behalf of people who, have jobs and don't want to be cancelled. And the least they can do is concede when they have no arguments against my claims. But still, they like opposing me in their pathetic way. Because what do they prefer their government, the ideas of their government over my ideas? I don't think it is. I think it's really deep down they resent me for even daring to think that I have a solution. Because even thinking I have a solution brings me above them, brings me above, all the people who complain about, how terrible things are, and some of them blame Jews, and some of them blame Muslims, and I know what the problem is, but my even mentioning my solution means that I'm asserting a status over these whingers and moaners, and they don't like it. So I think fundamentally that is why they hate me. So I think I've solved the problem. It's really, about status, and obviously all those people who secretly agree with me, but really want to shoot me down for being the bearer of bad news. All right, so I think I've made my point in half an hour. Thank you all for listening.